Part 86. Something strange is coming? Fortunately, I am the king of hell of the 10th palace. Author, Shiyubuletin Chigwa. Chapter 858. Seeing Shenjian kill a top ghost king who was infinitely close to ghosts and gods with one blow, the three people present were stunned. As 4-star players who have experienced dozens of horror game dungeons, have they ever seen players who can activate unparalleled skills in the dungeon and directly physically exorcise ghosts? This is an extremely explosive existence in the entire supernatural world. This is also the moment. The three players from the Western world felt a twinge of jealousy. I am jealous of such a thick thigh. Why was it not born in their Western country, but appeared in the Dragon Kingdom? With this person's strength, whoever enters the same dungeon with him will undoubtedly encounter smoke coming out of ancestral graves once in half a lifetime. As long as he follows the other person, it is low-key to say that he can clear the dungeon without any damage. They can even hold their heads high and behave like a good person in the dungeon, instead of shrinking their heads and acting like turtles wherever they go, and can only endure when they are insulted. It was such a simple equality that they could only experience when they followed Shenjian. Certainly. If you want to follow this golden thigh, there are also strict requirements. Like, having a big heart. Another example, know how to see in 6 directions with your eyes and listen in all directions. For example, physical strength is better. Like now. After helping the lonely old man realize his dream, the man seemed to have noticed something again. He showed his signature villain smile that was more evil than the evil ghost, casually grabbed his trophy basket and walked towards the depths of the street of evil ghosts. If you don't have a bit of vision and sufficient physical strength, you may not be able to keep up with others. Seeing Shenjian's growing excitement, the three players gritted their teeth, smiled bitterly, and followed him. They know. Shenjian got up. But think about it carefully. Doing this seems to have the effect of making a huge noise in the ghost street. At worst, they could throw a grenade later to attract the ghosts. This, boss, did he see something? A white man asked as he ran. Jana gave up her struggle and said, probably, but it should be rare for evil ghosts to wander around in Ghost Street again, and the only ones that can wander here are the guards of the Duke's palace, which are probably the guards that the 6th princess mentioned. The secret guarding force of Ghost Street. Omega, don't we have to confront the Duke's palace now? Isn't it too early? According to our original plan, we should not be exposed to the Duke's palace's sight, otherwise we will guide public opinion in the future. Can't do it anymore. Another middle-aged white man couldn't help but remind him. What he meant was obvious. Go and persuade Shenjian not to confront people from the Duke's palace. Otherwise, if any one of them is missed, their plan will fail. There is no longer any possibility of completing this hidden mission. Jana looked like you're right, that's how it should be. Then she pursed her lips and motioned for the other party to tell Shenjian directly. Middle-aged white man. His eyelids twitched. He glanced at the lonely headless corpse of an old man behind him, and then at Shenjian, who was holding a serrated sword and a bone basket with more than a dozen heads inside, and subconsciously shrank his head. MMP. Who dares to say this? Don't die. At this time, the role of the big heart is reflected. That is, you don't need to ask anything, just follow Shenjian and you will find your way to the dark side. Take life and death lightly, and do it if you don't accept it. Even if you die. Without such a mentality, sooner or later you will be driven crazy. The other side. 2 guards wearing black clothes with the badge of the Northern Duke's Palace hanging on their chests were looking for the street. Both of them are top ghost kings. Although they are doing guard work, in the Duke's mansion, they are actually the chief instructors training ghost knights. Each person is in charge of a ghost knight group of about 1,000 people, and has a good status. Don't be careless. There is an evil ghost at the top ghost king level roaming the streets. If we don't find him quickly, when he returns to consciousness from the torture, sooner or later he will be killed and cause chaos. A chief instructor ghost holding a spear said eagerly. I know, at this point in time, if no one stimulates him, it will be difficult for him to wake up right now. It's not like you haven't experienced the sequelae of reincarnation. Within 3 or 4 days, the evil ghost trapped in reincarnation will not realizing that I have returned to reality. Another chief instructor holding a spear gave a cold smile. Speaking of which, Gungi shivered. I couldn't help but mutter, tell me, how did the Grand Duke find such an evil thing? He can actually send a ghost's consciousness into it, and reincarnate according to the established death pattern until the consciousness collapses, resentment grows, and he becomes an evil ghost. And it seems to have gone through dozens or hundreds of years of torture, but in reality, it only lasted less than a quarter of an hour, which is terrible. Forbidden. This is taboo in the Duke's palace. If the Grand Duke finds you discussing this matter, you will be the next one to become an evil ghost. There are tens of thousands of evil ghosts in the north now, and there is no less than one more than you. Hear the words. Silence the gun ghost. There was a flash of fear in his eyes. It can make him, a top ghost king, fearful. You can imagine what kind of pain this so-called reincarnation is. That is torture that absolutely no one can endure. Even if you can endure it for a while, you can't endure it for a lifetime, let alone 3 lives. As long as they are sent to reincarnation, sooner or later their mentality will collapse and they will become evil spirits. No ghost would doubt this. Then he curbed his curiosity. Then concentrate on finding the target on the street. Is there any description of the characteristics of this ghost? An old man is holding a basket made of bones in his hand. He has a certain degree of supernatural thinking, and whatever he thinks will come true. According to what they say, this old man is very dangerous and has deteriorated extremely deeply. The basket contains all of them are his son's heads, and he personally cut them off as souvenirs, but if he doesn't wake up, he will leave as long as he says he has never seen his son. Spear Ghost introduced the characteristics of the escaped evil ghost in detail. Then I discovered something was wrong. Because he saw that the gun ghost was staring at a place and pointed, is it, that one? The spear ghost was startled. Look along what the other person is pointing at. In the darkness behind him, he saw a figure coming towards the night. He is holding a plate made of bones in his left hand. In the basket, there are piles of skulls so high and densely packed that it makes people suffer from trypophobia. In his right hand, he was holding a giant irregular broadsword. The broadsword was dragged on the ground, making a metallic collision sound like lightning and flint. On the right wrist, there is a red hemp rope fluttering. Clang, clang, clang. In the dark and silent night, the sound of the collision between the saw-toothed sword and the ground was particularly eye-catching. Heart-stopping. This person is none other than Shen Jian. Hey hey hey, are you my sons? Gun ghost? Spear ghost? The corners of their mouths twitched fiercely. Damn it! I have seen people asking for their father in public, but I have never seen people recognizing their children in the street. This is almost the same as be my son. Certainly. This is not the key. The key is to embarrass the other party in public. But to recognize children in the street is to insult them. Grass. God, are you my sons? If you want to take advantage, that's not how you take advantage. This moment. The gun ghost subconsciously looked at the spear ghost. The look in his eyes was very different, as if to say, didn't he mean that as long as he answered I haven't seen your son, the other party would leave? What should we say if the other party doesn't play according to the routine and just asks, are you my son? The spear ghost opened his mouth. I was also confused by this scene. The news he got was that he was indeed looking for his son. How does this turn into recognizing a son? Did the devil's thinking logic change so quickly? It's too grassy. Looking at the increasingly dangerous eyes on the other side, Spear Ghost decided to follow what he said before, but with a different meaning: we are not your sons. Hear this. In the dark. Shen Jian raised his head and smiled strangely. No, since he is not my son, then why are you still alive? If I can't find my son, you will die together. The two ghosts were startled. Damn it! So domineering? Doesn't it mean that evil spirits have disordered thinking and only know how to wander? Not only did this one come forward to recognize him in person, but his logic was very clear: if it wasn't him, it would be all of them. Are you sure this isn't a state of consciousness? Think of this. In order to stabilize Shen Jian, the gun ghost on the other side immediately said, "We are your sons." Shen Jian took a closer look. Then he seemed to be stimulated by something, and his expression became more and more sick. Damn it, why don't you take a pee and look in the mirror? You are so ugly, how could you be my son? You actually lied to me. Gun ghost? Spear ghost? Damn it. It was you who recognized us on the street, but now you are the one who calls us ugly. No matter what the answer is, you have a corresponding explanation? Damn it, your logic has already closed the loop, so why are you still asking questions? Just say you want to kill us. Also saves wasted time. What else did the gun ghost want to say? The spear ghost has already pulled the opponent and retreated towards the back. First, keep the distance. That evil ghost has a certain nature of randomness. The closer the distance, the easier it is to get hit. Keep the distance, and then suppress him. The spear ghost's goal is clear. Since the other party cannot communicate, then choose the safest way to suppress it. Evil ghosts are still ghosts. Although resentment grows, the level of terror increases greatly, and they appear to be very crazy and attack indiscriminately, but as long as this is ignored, evil ghosts are not actually scary. Even the evil ghost's thinking is not stable. To a certain extent, it is inferior to normal ghosts. Just a few seconds. The two of them opened a distance of more than 100 meters. Glancing out of the corner of his eye. Then Shen Jian was still standing there, seemingly unresponsive. Until the next moment. A gloomy voice echoed in the street. Supernatural power, throw of the universe. A thunderous name of peerless magical power attracted the attention of the two ghosts. It also shocked the three players who came over. Supernatural power? A throw of heaven and earth? Is this the legendary method of the immortal family? Leverage the power of heaven and earth to gather the most powerful blow? Otherwise, how could he be called a supernatural power? Then, in an instant, Shen Jian grabbed a head from the basket on his left and threw it out like a stone. Something strange is coming? Fortunately, I am the king of hell of the 10th palace. Author, Shi Yubuletin Chigua. Chapter 859. Supernatural power, throw of the universe. Between the old man and the old man. Shen Jian looked solemn, and the sounds of ghosts and gods echoed in the sky, causing waves in the night sky, and the sound reached the extreme level of shock. It was as if the general trend of heaven and earth was being stirred up, and the power of heaven and earth was to be used to deal a devastating blow to the enemy. Behind. The three players who rushed over were stunned. Especially Janna, her whole jaw was shocked. Supernatural power. This turned out to be a magical power that only immortals can use in the legend of the Dragon Kingdom. She firmly believed that there were immortals in the Dragon Kingdom. Because with her status in the Western Holy See and her family's status, she is qualified to know more about the real world than anyone else. For example, half a year ago, a real immortal figure came to the small town of Gallifrey on the American continent. He lifted a 100-foot-high pyramid with one hand and walked on the western continent. The Holy See received intelligence and carried out a sniper attack on the immortal god in Pharaoh City, one of the 12 main cities in the west. They deployed all the military forces in the city, but they were unable to have any impact on him. On the contrary, this immortal god attracted thunderclouds with one hand, destroyed half of the city of Pharaoh, and walked away. Until now, the city of Pharaoh has not been completely rebuilt. Another example is the country-destroying ghost disaster that swept through the Nanlin province of the Dragon Kingdom more than 2 months ago. According to incomplete information, the ghost disaster consisted of an army of 100,000 evil ghosts. In just a few days, a province in the Dragon Kingdom fell, resulting in the death of millions of people. The tide of 100,000 ghosts also turned into an army of nearly 400,000 evil ghosts, and they headed crazily towards other countries. The provinces invaded and left. At that time, the 7 kings of hell in the underworld appeared and reversed the crisis in one fell swoop. Therefore, she knows that there are indeed gods in this world. Now, when she suddenly heard Shen Jian shout out supernatural power, a prefix that obviously had extraordinary meaning, she was stunned for a moment, and then suddenly realized for a moment. Could it be that the reason why Shen Jian has such strength is because he obtained the immortal means? And what he is performing now is a kind of immortal method. Think of this. Janna's heart was shocked, and her eyes were as wide as bells, trying to understand the mystery. He also displayed such shocking power. The 2 white players who were traveling with him also looked horrified. They didn't think as much as Janna thought, but just shouting out a name caused such a big commotion. This so-called throw of the universe was definitely an extraordinary power that they could not imagine. The next second, Shen Jian was so angry that he grabbed the old man's head in the basket on his left hand and threw it out. Janna. 2 white men. 2 ghosts. The field immediately fell into silence. Everyone looked like they had toothache. That's it? That's it? This horse riding is what you call magical power? Isn't this just throwing your head away? Gan. We stopped doing this kind of childish behavior of throwing props behind when we can't catch up with others when we were 5 years old. You're damn good. And shouted out. It's just a shout out, you idiot, you even gave it a name. It's okay to choose a name, but to choose such a high-ranking one. It's better to just take it as high as possible, and to make such a big noise really frightened us. Next time you go for a run, do you have to shout goo-woo, catch the cicada in 8 steps? If you wave the flower hand, do you get the phrase immortal magic, 1000-hand guanyin? Just when the gun ghost's face turned dark and he was about to turn around, preparing to suppress Shen Jian, he suddenly realized that something was wrong with the spear ghost's expression, and he lowered his head stiffly. I saw that the spear ghost's chest was penetrated by an extremely huge hole. If the edge of the hole were larger, it would not be penetrated, but cut off at the waist. The gun ghost was confused. Damn it! Damn it! What's the situation? It's like an action that a child can't afford and can only throw props from behind. How could it penetrate you, a top ghost king? Is it because the head in his hands is too strong, or are you too weak to ride the horse? Just thinking about it. The spear ghost's body had fallen heavily. Nothing supernatural. The head of the old man who was thrown out was also smashed to pieces. It became a mosaic. Behind, the 3 white players all knelt down. The quintessence of the country. The quintessence of the country. Damn it, is this really okay? This action, which was as visual as throwing a stone, actually killed a top ghost king. It's like a dream. Are they abnormal, or has the world changed? Is it possible that this is really a magical method? Is it because of localization? Otherwise, what is thrown is a magic weapon, a treasure. For a while, Janna's inner thoughts of this is magical power rekindled. His eyes widened again. I only regret that my eyes are not high-definition 4K uncensored cameras, otherwise I would take pictures of everything in front of me and see if I can steal it. In such deathly silence, the gun ghost finally reacted. He looked at Shen Jian in shock. You are not the evil ghost who escaped. Who are you? This is a place that the Duke of the North has forbidden to enter. We are the instructors of the Duke's palace. If you kill us, the Duke will not let you go. He finally figured out that the figure in front of him was not the escaped evil old man at all, but a strange intruder who killed the evil old man and robbed him of his supernatural possessions. And the level of horror is very high. Possessing unimaginable power. His attention had been attracted by the name supernatural power just now, so that he only now noticed that if a dog has more magical power, it is clearly because the other party used all his strength to smash his head over. God is so powerful. This is pure strength. I don't know if this bitch grew up eating spinach, but his strength is frightening. If an ordinary ghost throws its head out, it may hurt others, but it will never cause a fatal wound like this. This means that the power of Shen Jian's throw has reached an unimaginable level. Anything in his hands can become a murderous weapon. Even a stone or a branch, with the blessing of such power, can erupt with destructive power that can penetrate rocks. This is really incredible. Relying on strength alone, using a round head to pierce the ghost body of a top ghost king is such an abnormal display of strength that even the Duke may not be able to do it. Who is this man? What did he want to do when he broke into the ghost street? A chill ran down Gungi's spine. Since he was promoted to the top ghost king, there have been few things that can scare him so much. The Grand Duke of the North is one, reincarnation is another, and now, Shen Jian is also one. Hear the words. Shen Jian tilted his head and said, I'm very curious. When you say such words, do you hope that I will silence you quickly? You all know that the Grand Duke of the North will not let me go, so you threaten me with a life-threatening death. Disciple, if I can't escape, what do you think I will do first? Said. Shen Jian showed a sinister smile. Gun ghost. He was stunned. Mad. That seems to be the case. Since the Duke will not let the intruder break into the ghost street, what is the use of threatening a dying person? If the other party is angry and kills him first, then even if the Duke kills the other party again, he will not survive. For a while. He couldn't handle this logic. The key is, he still thinks it makes sense. If it were him, he would have killed all the enemy's men when he knew there was no hope of escape. Then, the gun ghost sweated even more intensely. Inwardly annoyed, I felt that the words I blurted out were extremely stupid. Looking for remedies now, urgent. The next second, the gun ghost seemed to have thought of something. Dad, I am your son, are you willing to kill me? He knelt. The voice was like weeping and complaining. There is no hint of reluctance at all. The main theme is a man who sincerely recognizes his father. A wild father is not a father, he told himself repeatedly in his heart. 3 players. They were dumbfounded. A top ghost king recognized his father in public. This is completely beyond the limits of their imagination. After all, directly killing a top ghost king would shock their outlook, but at least they had seen it before and could still accept it. But a top ghost king was so frightened that he knelt down and called him daddy. This was something he couldn't do without a few tricks. Compared with the former, the latter is as difficult as climbing to the sky. If this scene could be filmed, it would definitely shock the entire supernatural world. Let countless people be in an uproar. This moment, a thought emerged in their hearts, you used to be indifferent to recognizing your father, but now I have made it impossible for you to reach it. The other side. Shen Jian glanced at the gun ghost with disgust. He cursed and said, get out. Okay, Dad, oh no, brother. The gun ghost was about to get away from this scary man, but just a second later, Shen Jian cursed again, I mean, let you go to your evil ghost manufacturing base. Hear this. The gun ghost's eyelids twitched. Want to cry but no tears. He knew that the secret of Ghost Street was only the Duke's ghost manufacturing base, and since this man chose to break in, it must be an evil person. It is not difficult to guess the opponent's goal. Brother, I am a retainer of the Duke's palace. If I take you there, I will be finished. The Duke will not let me go. The words have not yet finished. Shen Jian had already put a knife on his neck. If you don't take me there now, I won't let you go now. Gun Ghost. He was about to cry. First he thought of the Duke's methods, and then looked at the serrated sword that was only 0.01 centimeters away from his throat. After 3 seconds, he made a decision. Brother, please give me this task. I have long been dissatisfied with the Duke. He threw all the ghosts in the Duke's palace who did not obey his orders into reincarnation and made them evil ghosts. I was the one at the beginning. If I was a little slow in completing the task, he would send me into reincarnation to scare the monkeys. The gun ghost said with resentment on his face. He did hate this. It's just that due to the Duke's terrifying strength and cruel methods, he couldn't resist, let alone dared to resist. But it doesn't mean that he doesn't have any dissatisfaction. Shen Jian said seriously, what is reincarnation? The gun ghost said without hesitation, it's half a stone. Standing in front of the stone, it seems that some unknown pictures can be illuminated, making people's consciousness reincarnate and unable to escape. The Duke transformed it and turned it into a special torture, a complete collection of ways to die as a ghost. Shen Jian was shocked. The stone is really a 3-life stone. However, it seems to be incomplete. Was part of it destroyed during the drastic changes in the underworld? Do you know how the Duke of the North obtained it? The remaining half was not found. Shen Jian asked. The gun ghost looked suspicious, always feeling that Shen Jian's reaction seemed too big, but he still explained, I don't know, but some of us speculate that the Duke may have brought this back from the high seas. Hear the words. Shen Jian said nothing. Suppressing the excitement in his heart, he grabbed the gun ghost and walked away. Didn't stop for a moment. He couldn't wait to recover the strange objects belonging to the underworld. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Something strange is coming? Fortunately, I am the king of hell of the 10th palace. Author, Shi Buletin Chigua. Chapter 860. Not long after. Under the guidance of Gun Ghost, Shen Jian came to a stone tower at the end of Ghost Street. The tower body is very retro, made of a kind of pitch-black obsidian, and is 10 stories high, standing at the end. The gun ghost thought of his current situation, which meant he would die anyway, so he said vengefully, Brother, this stone tower is the Duke's base for creating evil spirits. Once you enter the tower, the terror level will be suppressed by 2 levels. If a top ghost king enters, he will become an ordinary ghost king. And at the top of the tower, there is a small ghost realm that is teleported at a fixed point. Ghosts that have become evil ghosts can be sent out and allowed to wander in a fixed area so that they can be eliminated at any time. In addition, there are various restrictions in the tower, and supernatural means to restrain the ghosts. Without someone to lead, even ghosts and gods will have a hard time breaking in. However, although this kind of supernatural thing with obsidian patterns can, the range suppresses the terror level of evil spirits, but sometimes it fails for no reason. Because of this, evil spirits may sneak out and wander around the streets every few days. This is our goal in searching the streets. The gun ghost spoke out in one breath. There is quite an attitude of abandoning darkness and turning to light, taking the lead in making meritorious deeds. Shen Jian nodded slightly. No hesitation. He just broke in. The 3 players were trembling, feeling their hearts pounding, and they followed suit. Oh my God! So exciting! What is the difference between directly breaking into the enemy's most important experimental base and accidentally entering the big boss Demon King's castle when he was still in the novice village? This is just a heartbeat. If you are timid, your legs will become weak at this point and you will have to call your mother. Although the 3 4-star players were not so embarrassed, their feelings were similar. The heart is resisting entering this lifeless ghost cave, but the body is very honest. It's not that they are adventurous and dare to face death, but that if they don't follow, the end will be even worse. Follow him, at least he still has his thighs in front of him. If you don't follow him and stay in the ghost street, you may be discovered by the patrolling guards at any time. They can still tell which is light and which is serious. However, as soon as they stepped into the stone tower, they regretted it. In an instant, an invisible supernatural wave enveloped the place. The 3 players' faces paled. Especially the female player whose ID is Jana. Her game level is as high as level 59. She is only 1 level away from becoming a 5-star player and standing at the pinnacle of the supernatural world. Because of this, her terror level is actually no worse than that of a 5-star player who has just entered level 60. Although she only controlled 3 ghosts, one of the ghosts she controlled was a complete Ghost King level ghost. Even if she was in a state of death, she still gave her enough strength to temporarily compete with the Ghost King. The distance between his own Yin Qi and the Ghost King is only a fraction of a second. But now, she was clearly aware that Jigsaw, the ghost she controlled, was howling and howling. It was extremely suppressed, and her own Yin Qi had dropped to a level that could reach King II level. The same goes for 2 other white players. They are more oppressed. The strength that was able to fight against the top red-coded level ghost suddenly dropped to the white-coded level. From being able to gain a foothold in the horror game area, it has fallen to the bottom of the horror world. This kind of suppression is unreasonable. There is not even any means of countermeasures. When the horror level is suppressed, the chain reaction is that the player's physical condition deteriorates rapidly, and the physical function seems to be decades older, worse than that of an ordinary elderly person. This is also the current situation of Ghost Masters. After controlling the ghost puzzle, as the level of terror increases, their physical functions become worse. Just like Princess Jana, she has an arm that is slender than an 80-year-old man. She can break her wrist just by lifting any heavy object. But in reality, this old man's hand can not only suppress the evil ghost, but also can kill 2 people at will. 3 normal people mentioned it. This kind of power is completely dependent on the supernatural. Once the terror level is suppressed, all the shortcomings of this old man's hand will be exposed. Become vulnerable. Just like a real octogenarian. As for the players who can reach 4 stars or above, they have not gone very far on the path of supernatural beings. Their bodies have already been riddled with holes by evil ghosts. The reason why they are not dead is because the supernatural beings are maintaining their bodies. Now, this terrifying supernatural suppression shrouded the 3 players, and their faces turned pale. With every step they took, they seemed to be able to hear their body parts groaning under the strain. In this state, let alone confrontation, running is a question. Subconsciously, they looked at Shenjian and Gungi beside them. The gun ghost's condition was also very bad, his supernatural fluctuations were sluggish, and his whole body was as wilted as a cucumber. But the opponent's terror level is still considerable, staying infinitely close to that of the Abyss-level Ghost King. Even though he was suppressed by 2 levels, he still had this level of terror. This gun ghost was probably an existence that was infinitely close to a ghost. And such a being, not long ago, knelt down in public to recognize his father. Think of this. The player drooled and swallowed. He looked at Shenjian. At this sight, I was completely stunned. In their opinion, even if Shenjian is a legendary ghost and god, he will show obvious signs of decline after being suppressed for 2 levels. He may even have various physical problems like them. But when they looked at it, Shen Jian looked normal at this time, his face was rosy, and his eyes were shining brightly. Although he was breathing rapidly, it looked like he was overly excited while riding the horse. What happened? Why the hell can you not be affected? Or is it that even if you are suppressed by 2 levels, it still doesn't matter? Grass. It's noisy. Be careful, I'm joking, and the ghost revives. After suppressing 2 levels, you are still calm and composed. What level have you reached? It's okay if your humming style of painting is different from ours. Now you still have a separate cultivation system? The players were shocked, and the gun ghost looked at Shen Jian in horror, and couldn't help but said, "Brother, don't you feel anything?" Generally speaking, the ghost who enters the stone tower for the first time has the strongest reaction. Just like you brought the 3 here are just like weaklings, but how do I look at you, without any effective feedback at all? 3 players. Thank you for riding a horse and giving us nicknames. Hear the words. Shen Jian said casually, who said no? Didn't you see that I was already on fire? Gun ghost. He twitched his mouth. God is so on fire. Is this what I'm asking? I'm asking you why you weren't suppressed to the horror level. Or is it that your special meow has been suppressed? Think of this possibility. The gun ghost's heart was filled with turmoil. The obsidian supernatural thing here is a supernatural derivative brought back by the Duke of the North when he brought back half of the stone. Even a ghost like the Duke who is infinitely close to the world-destroying level will still be destroyed once he steps into the scope of the stone tower. He was suppressed by 2 levels and dropped to infinitely close to the level of ghosts and gods. And this man is not affected? This possibility is simply unbelievable. Certainly. If Shen Jian was suppressed, the result would be even more absurd and terrifying. Because this means that even if this man is suppressed by 2 levels, his level of terror is still so terrifying that he cannot even sense it. He had only seen this kind of situation with the Duke before. Therefore, before entering the stone tower, he guessed that Shen Jian might be from the royal family, and his terror level was also infinitely close to the world-destroying level. But now, this guess must be overturned. Shen Jian, who has been suppressed for 2 levels, still has an unfathomable level of terror. This means that after being suppressed, Shen Jian still has a strength that is infinitely close to the world-destroying level. Under this premise, if he is raised 2 levels, what level is that? The real world-destroying ghost and god. Or, far above the world-destroying level ghosts and gods. This moment, the gun ghost seemed to have been hit hard in the soul. Let his mind go blank. This man's level of terror is probably above the world-destroying ghosts and gods. This is a big joke. However, before the gun ghost could recover from the shock and trance, Shen Jian had already moved. Walking deeper into the stone tower. In the surrounding corners, there were ghost skins hanging out to dry, piles of bone fragments piled on the ground, and several corpses of ghosts being discarded randomly, like garbage. The deeper you go, the more impressive the sights become. Bloody severed limbs, human skeletons, human flesh art puzzles. Everything here is disgusting. To this, Shen Jian was not very interested and even wanted to add to the fun. Not long after, he just reached the end. Open the door. Waves of desperate and shrill wails sounded in the stone room. Shen Jian glanced away. I saw that the stone chamber was divided into 2 separate rooms, inside and outside. In the outer room, the devils who were nailed to the wall were scattered in every corner of the stone room. These ghosts had an obsidian spike piercing their bodies and were nailed to the stone wall. Every time they moved, they would let out unimaginable wails. During the wails, the resentment on each ghost's face became more intense and their expressions became more distorted. Seeing the visitor, the ghosts wailed and stretched out their weak ghost hands. "Brother, help me pull out these damn black stone nails," and I will make you the earl of my territory. Little brother, save me. If you save me, if you walk sideways in the north in the future, I will give you another ghost limb. Ah, damn it, you guys who write bad checks, brother, I am the most sincere. If you let me go, I will give you 10 million thriller coins. The ghosts howled, making various promises. There is only one request, let them go. Hear this. The three players behind him were jealous. The position of Earl, the mutilated limbs of ghosts and gods, and 10 million horror coins. As long as one of them can be cashed in, you will reach the pinnacle of life. Shen Jian watched all this with great interest and asked the gun ghost, isn't there reincarnation? Why do we still need to adopt such primitive methods? The gun ghost smiled bitterly and said, because reincarnation is ineffective against this group of evil ghosts and fierce ghosts. These ghosts are ruthless and have a very high threshold for pain. Even if they are tortured in reincarnation, they cannot collapse. On the contrary, it may cause them to completely freeze. And the Duke wanted to create a group of extremely evil ghosts that are more terrifying than evil ghosts, so he kept them. After listening, the interest in Shen Jian's eyes became even greater. The 3 life stones were used by the Duke of the North, and he was very unhappy. But the Sanshung stone was ineffective against this group of ghosts, and he was even more unhappy. Doesn't this mean that the strange things in his underworld can't even deal with a group of ghosts? Think about it. Shen Jian came to the nearest ghost, wearing a luxurious robe but with a bloody face, and said innocently, you just said that if I let you go, I would give you 10 million thriller coins. Is it true? End of chapter. Something strange is coming? Fortunately, I am the king of hell of the 10th palace. Author, Shi Yubuletin Chigua. Chapter 861. As soon as these words came out, in the stone room, the eyes of the ghosts were attracted. The ferocious and twisted ghost faces were full of surprise. Because Shen Jian did not carry any badge related to the Duke's palace in the north, they mistakenly believed that Shen Jian and the 3 weak chickens who had difficulty walking were all captured by the gun ghost and thrown into reincarnation. But looking at it now, it seems that is not the case. Otherwise, the moment Shen Jian walked out of the team, the gun ghost should have kicked him up and beaten him up. Instead of letting the other person speak without stopping. There's drama. The eyes of the ghosts lit up, showing some excitement. Being nailed to death in this dark stone room, enduring excruciating pain day after day, no matter how high their threshold for pain is, one day they will be unable to hold on and become evil ghosts whose instincts are controlled by killing. This kind of ending is not what they want. At the moment, there seems to be a big shot in the stone room, and even the gun ghost is respectful. If we don't seize this opportunity, there will be no such good opportunities in the future. Then, the deceitful ghost wearing a luxurious robe immediately used his supernatural powers and began to influence the opponent's thoughts vaguely. The black stone nail nailed his ghost body, suppressing his supernatural fluctuations and terror level, but not all supernatural powers could not be used. After all, being motionless is a bastard. If they were really completely suppressed, coupled with the excruciating pain, they would have died long ago. And he is a liar. What he is best at is naturally lying to people. Even the Duke of the North would eat the pie he painted without paying attention. Not to mention a young man. Brother, what I said is true. Look at the robes on my body. To be honest, I am actually the only scion of a down-and-out Duke's family. The origins can be traced back to the establishment of the Eli Empire. My grandfather had the foresight to prevent future generations from ruining the family business and left a treasure for future generations to make a comeback. When the family passed down to my generation, I inherited this treasure map. According to my grandfather's last words, there are more than 10 million horror coins and a large number of supernatural resources buried in this treasure place. Brother, if you let me go, I will give you 10 million thriller coins. The deceitful ghost has deep feelings. Whether it is micro-expressions, movements, tone, or even any subtle changes in speech, they all appear impeccable. No flaws can be found at all. In the real world, this does not require supernatural blessing for someone to believe it. Not to mention the double blessing of supernatural guidance. 3 players is an example. At this time, in their eyes, they have automatically transformed the liar's words into a more understandable meaning. I, Qin Shi Wang, v50, make you a general in front of the imperial court and reward you with 10,000 taels of money. As long as he lets go of this down-and-out duke's heir, he can get 10 million thriller coins. What a temptation. It's almost crazy. If these 10 million horror coins were theirs, they could go to a 5-star supernatural hotel, eat instant noodles, and then arrogantly ask the waiter to add double eggs and ham and lettuce. Hiss. How about it, little brother? You just need to help me pull out the black stone nail on my chest. After I get out of trouble, I will come back to you with 10 million thriller coins. I won't embarrass you with this condition. The liar ghost endured the severe pain and said without any pain. It's not difficult, it's not difficult. How can this be difficult? With such good conditions, it's too late for me to be happy. Shen Jian smiled. Glancing at the gun ghost who was about to speak, he swallowed the words he blurted out, then shrugged his head and stood there with a look of despair. See this? Shen Jian nodded with satisfaction. Step forward. He grabbed the black stone nail of the deceiver with his bare hands and pulled it out hard. With a tingling sound, the black stone nail was forcibly pulled out. Liar. Ghosts. The crucified ghosts were stunned for a moment. Damn it! Are you trying to survive? Did you really pull it out? What's going on? They were very familiar with this black stone nail. Once it was nailed, it would be impossible to pull it off unless it was made of a supernatural object made of obsidian. The supernatural power of confinement is no small matter. At this point, they've tried it long ago. But now, they saw someone pulling out this forbidden supernatural thing with bare hands, without even a trace of effort being seen. This is too amazing. The deceiver who originally planned to pull out the black stone nails and escape by his own strength stopped this idea. He felt that since Shen Jian had eaten the cake he had drawn, he would use it a few more times to get value for money. Especially the gun ghost level is not that easy. Brother, I'm very weak now. Can you take me out? Of course, I don't keep you busy in vain. On the basis of the 10 million thriller coins, I am willing to add another 5 million. The liar comes as soon as he opens his mouth. It's a bad check anyway, he dares to write any amount. As long as he escapes from the ghost street, even the Duke of the North will not be able to find him with his recovered supernatural powers that are infinitely close to the level of ghosts and gods. By then, the sky is high and the Emperor is far away, he can go wherever he wants. Hear this. Before Shen Jian could respond, the gun ghost was the first to become unable to sit still. He couldn't help but said, "Brother, he is lying to you. He has said this trick countless times. It is simply a lie. Moreover, he is not a descendant of a declining duke family at all, but a beggar who founded. He is a gang leader, but he is still a low-class gangster." The liar's face changed slightly. At this time, Shen Jian also looked over, as if he had just reacted, and asked, "Is what he said true?" "It's fake. He has never seen my treasure map, so how can he know whether it is true or false?" "Brother, I think he simply doesn't want you to get 10 million thriller coins, and even wants to keep it for himself. That's why he slanders me like this," the liar said again and again. Shen Jian pondered for a moment, then said with a smile, "In this case, I will give you 0 down payment. You can leave now, but you must leave something valuable enough as collateral. Otherwise, What will happen if you run away? Hear this. The liar looked at Shen Jian as if he were looking at a fool. Let me pay 0 down payment? Then it depends on whether I pay or not. In terms of character, I am very good at it. If you don't pay it back, Te Miao won't pay a penny. Certainly. The liar thought this in his heart, but still looked sincere on the surface. He reached out and took off the luxurious robe, and said in memory, "This dress is a relic of my grandfather and a symbol of the family. Now I give it to you for safekeeping. When I get the thriller coin back, I can redeem it this dress. Say it." The liar turned around and walked away. He looked like his family was in dire straits and had to rely on pawning family belongings to survive, but he was full of reluctance to give up. No one who looks at it can find anything wrong with it. You may even think that this person is affectionate and righteous, and a ghost who values commitment. Wait, I'm afraid you didn't hear me clearly. I meant something valuable, and the equivalent value of 10 million thriller coins is ghosts and gods. The liar was stunned. Didn't you say 0 down payment? The only thing I have is this piece of clothing worth now. Who said that? Shen Jian looked strange. Fool, the most valuable thing about you is yourself. You can mortgage yourself here. Liar? He opened his mouth. I suspect I heard it wrong. Am I mortgaging myself here? What kind of ghost world joke are you making? If that's the case, how do I get the money? I'm going to get the thriller coins. The liar reminded. Shen Jian nodded. I know, so you need collateral. But I pledged myself, so how am I going to get the money? That's your problem. Shen Jian innocently spread his hands. Liar. Mad. The fist is hard. The back molars are also broken. You're humming closing the loop with me. If you want to go out, you need to get money first. If you don't have money to pledge yourself, then I will go out and die. Of course, you can also choose to pay in normal installments. The liar suppressed the resentment in his heart and showed a forced smile. Then I don't want 0 down payment. I choose to pay in normal installments directly. This dress will be the first installment. Shen Jian smiled and said, you understand it wrong. The installment payment I am talking about means that you pay part of the body of a ghost and god worth 10 million horror coins in advance. For example, if you are now infinitely close to the level of ghosts and gods, then you will pay part of it every time. You can dismember part of yourself and use it to repay the loan in 24 installments, with each installment paying back a body that is no smaller than your head, which is interest. Liar? Goddamn installment payment. Isn't this payment for dismemberment? It's mine. I haven't got enough to pay back the 24 installments after I divided them, you piece of shit. More importantly, this is just interest. If you sell 10 million thriller coins doubled, you are the business genius. The North cannot develop because of your absence. Are you kidding me? For the first time, the liar had such an idea in his heart. Subsequently, he looked at the gun ghost, then at Shen Jian, who didn't know how to deal with it, but he still said weakly from the bottom of his heart, I can't afford it. Hear this. Shen Jian's face immediately turned cold. Can't you afford to pay back? Let me tell you, this is a black shop. I have to pay back even if I can't afford it. Otherwise, what will I do with the time I wasted? Said. Shen Jian kicked him forward. Kick it away. Cursing, I don't have the money to pretend to be rich. Let me tell you, if we don't send the principal and interest, it will be the end of the world for us. Everyone was shocked. Forced buying and selling. It's too black-hearted. What's the difference between you and those black-hearted businessmen who are blinded by lard? Oh no. Others admit that they are a black shop. How can I scold you? For a while, everyone on the field was a little nervous. The eyes he looked at the liar showed a bit of pity. If you encounter such a bamboo shoot thing, just accept it. The other side. The liar was stunned. Seeing the playful and pitiful looks of the ghosts and the ugly face of Shen Jian, the arrogant and black-hearted businessman, he collapsed. This familiar sense of sight reminded him of the days when he had begged for a living. At that time, his dignity was trampled on like this. Now, he was already infinitely close to the existence of ghosts and gods, but he was still trampled on like this, and his mentality was completely shattered. Just a moment. The liar raised his head full of hatred, the resentment on his body rising to the sky. Why are you doing this to me? Why is my life still so miserable? Why has nothing changed? I'm so miserable. Why am I the only one who is so miserable? With the distorted roars, the liar ghost was haunted by resentment, his eyes turned red, and he was murderous and crazy. And the terrifying level on his body is being upgraded from Ghost King to Abyss level, infinitely close to the top Ghost King level. This moment, the ghost's expressions changed. Because the level of terror on the deceitful ghost is the effect of being suppressed by the supernatural. If he leaves the outside world, he will no longer be the top Ghost King, but a real ghost god. And he is a ghost level evil ghost. Long live. This dog competition thing actually turned the deceiver into a devil. He also helped others complete the transformation from a top Ghost King to a ghost god. Although it is a ghost level god in the form of an evil spirit, no matter what, it is still a genuine ghost and god. Among the evil spirits raging in the north, there has never been a ghost level one. Liar is the first example. They wanted to know if Shen Jian regretted it so much now. However, when the group of ghosts on the wall looked over, Shen Jian's face already showed a hint of teachable expression. Something strange is coming? Fortunately, I am the king of hell of the 10th palace. Author, Shi Yu Buletin Chi Gua. Chapter 862. At this time, the atmosphere at the scene was very anxious. The group of ghosts hanging on the stone wall looked at the deceitful ghost who had begun to transform into evil spirits, with endless resentment emerging from his body, and the look of pity on his face disappeared. Instead, there was envy and jealousy. Regardless of what the deceitful ghost was before, and whether it has turned into a demon or not, it is a definite fact that the opponent is now using the demonic transformation to increase the level of terror to the level of ghosts and gods. That's a ghost. Looking at the entire Yilai Empire, ghosts and gods are already at the pinnacle of the kingdom and the mainland. Even the royal family is not willing to interfere too much with ghosts of this level. If you are willing to join the royal family, you can at least obtain the position of a marquis. In time, you may not be able to become the new dignitary of the kingdom, become the duke of this country, and create a new hereditary noble family. Certainly, evil spirits don't get this kind of treatment. But they are all ghosts and gods. The kingdom is so big, where can't we go? Even if they just unite with the evil ghosts in the north, they can still dominate. In short, there is only one word, 100% benefit without any harm. The ghosts looked at Shen Jian. There was a mocking look on his face. Take it off. If you have to catch someone else's poor person, and now force him to turn into a devil, the level of terror has jumped to the highest level in the game. Even a gun ghost cannot defeat someone who is infinitely close to the top Ghost King when suppressed by the supernatural. Liar. And leaving the stone tower, let alone that. Once the supernatural suppression disappears, they are real ghosts and gods. Unless 3 or more ghosts and gods join forces, or the Grand Duke of the North takes action himself, who can catch an evil ghost that has fallen into madness? Become a clown. With this thought, the ghosts looked at Shen Jian with more and more playful eyes. However, the expected expression of fear and panic on Shen Jian's face never appeared. When they looked, Shen Jian had a completely different look on his face. It is a sense of accomplishment and excitement of carving a perfect work. When they raise this question mark, it's not that they have a problem, it's that they think there's something humming wrong with you. What are you so excited about? That's a ghost. You forced a top ghost king to become a ghost, and he's still an evil ghost. Once the opponent completes the transformation, the evil ghost's killing instinct will take over the rationality and will slaughter all non-kind species in sight. Even when they are about to die, they still laugh. This kid can't be mentally disturbed. 2. If you are mentally normal, you will not offer zero down payment, but you will need to use yourself as collateral. You won't let others pay in installments, but you will also be sharing your own body. The other side. Seeing the deceitful ghost whose resentment was so strong and whose terror level was constantly rising, the gun ghost couldn't help but swallowed. The look that looked at Shen Jian was astonishing. Today it was really a knife's ass, which opened my eyes. To know. Those who can be nailed to the stone wall are those who have withstood the torture in reincarnation and whose pain tolerance threshold is so high that it breaks through the limit. Even the Duke of the North has a headache on how to transform these ghosts into evil ghosts. Can't think of an idea. But now, Shen Jian did it. He didn't even torture the other party properly, he just kicked him and said a few more unpleasant words, and the other party's mentality collapsed. Apparently. This is no coincidence. But it has been planned for a long time. The purpose is to trample on the dignity of the liar, let him first have a glimmer of hope, then continue to amplify this hope, and finally, crush it ruthlessly. Grass. You don't even have basic information about the other party, but you know how to make the liar collapse. How much practice does this make perfect? You know how to insult and trample on other people's character. The king of hell is not as proficient in your performance as you are. If you were to design the 18 levels of hell, they wouldn't be filled with evil spirits. If you fall into the hands of this man, you may not even know how to die in the future. Difficult to stretch. I won't be driven crazy too. Think of this. The gun ghost looked at Shen Jian pitifully and helplessly /. Shen Jian was calm. After all, with the dual blessing of King Qin Guang's clerical ability, Eye of Hell and Favorability panel, he can read anyone's life, and ghosts are no exception. It is not surprising that he can see the other person's weaknesses. Subsequently, he patted the gun ghost on the shoulder and said sincerely, "Look, it's not difficult to transform evil ghosts. Sometimes you can't succeed. Look for your own reasons. Have your thinking been limited after so many years? Have you worked hard? No, blame the problem on dead things." Gun ghost? Ah. It took a while. Only then did he realize that the dead thing Shen Jian mentioned should refer to the broken stone. No. Why is your brain circuit so strange? Your point is not that these ghosts are difficult to tame and breaking rocks has no effect, but that we have no intentions. Etc. You're not going to break the liar just to prove that it's our problem, right? A series of question marks appeared in his mind. His mouth opened wide. Looking at Shen Jian in disbelief. If the deceived ghost knew that the reason why he had fallen into the current situation and had his personality trampled was simply because of Shen Jian's damned and inexplicable desire to win and lose, the degree of evil ghost transformation would probably be accelerated and deepened. This is not taking the ghost's life as one's life at all. Just thinking about it? Shen Jian seemed to have gotten the result and became less interested. Looking at the liar who was still transforming, he thought for a while and walked over. He cast an encouraging positive expression towards the deceiver, clenched his fist and said, "At one go, it will weaken again, and then it will be exhausted. Think about those sad things, think about how I trampled on you just now, think about it more, you still can't do it, transformation can be completed faster." Gun ghost. Group of ghosts. Liar. He was stunned for a moment. Shen Jian would never be able to do this. Don't you see that I am now growing in resentment and am entering a critical period of transformation? If you don't act quickly, are you waiting for death? He also encouraged me by riding a horse. The mistress abused my wife in front of me, and finally told me that my wife was so moist, and would he let me lust after him next time? Gan. You are really not a human being. The liar ghost's resentment became even stronger. A pair of red ghost eyes looked at Shen Jian crazily and murderously. What was revealed in his pupils was hatred, and hatred towards Shen Jian. There is a posture of waiting for his transformation to be completed, and then picking Shen Jian to kill him alone. See this. Shen Jian became even more excited. Vicious and harsh words are spat out for free. That's it. Think about your tragic life. When you were a child, you were a beggar, you were spat on by people passing by, you ate food from sewers, you were a street rat, and when you grew up, you were rejected by women. I miss you so much, goddess. I don't even have time to protect myself, I don't even dare to touch it with my hands, but I'm being kicked wildly by others, and I even stood up to kick her. When you get old and are exploited by a black-hearted businessman like me, and spend your whole life repaying debts, with no hope in life, don't you want to trample me under your feet? Shen Jian's voice rose a degree. Deep love and lasting meaning. This scene. Everyone in the audience was stunned. My jaw dropped. The life described here is so hopeless. It's so desperate that it's unjustifiable without going dark. Only. Have you found the wrong position? If others really speed up their transformation, wouldn't you die faster? The ghosts' mouths twitched wildly. For the first time, they knew that there were still people who thought they didn't die quickly enough. Man, why are you so quick? Even the liar was a ghost. Hearing Shen Jian's description, he put himself in his shoes. Especially when he thought about the scene where the goddess he longed for was stood up and kicked wildly by others, he felt even more heartbroken. Ah! I'm so miserable. The liar ghost howled and his eyes bulged out. The resentment in him reached its peak at this moment. The level of terror is completely stable at the level that is infinitely close to the top Ghost King. Then. He stood up. A grimace turned ferocious. He succeeded. Although he became an evil ghost, he also successfully advanced to the level of ghosts and gods. Even though he was suppressed by the supernatural, he still had the level of an abyss-level Ghost King that was infinitely close to the top Ghost King. Killing out couldn't be easier. But now, he had a more important thing to do, kill that bitch that was nagging in his ear. The liar raised his head. His eyes swept away. Shen Jian was seen standing there with a smile, as if he was not aware of the impending disaster. You. It's over. The liar speaks every word. With a ferocious smile. Without any hesitation, he just rushed towards Shen Jian, relying on his abyss-level supernatural power. I wish I could eat its flesh, swallow its blood, and bite its bones. The ghosts saw this. They also felt sorry for each other. Look, do you dare to have a bad mouth? Even though he knew that angering a ghost would lead to serious consequences, he still insisted on provoking others. If you don't die, who will? In the next life, let's do our best in recruiting. Forget it for this life. Anyway, I probably couldn't even keep the whole body. Certainly. If the gun ghost joins forces with them, they may not be able to delay the arrival of reinforcements. That's what I thought. The group of tortured ghosts hanging on the stone wall suddenly saw a bit of pity on the gun ghost's face, and then moved away, with a "you fight, I'll watch" posture. The same goes for 3 other players. He moved his steps and stood further back, with the same inexplicable sympathy on his face. Just when the ghosts are confused. Boom! A loud noise came. The body of the deceiver ghost flew out quickly and hit the hard stone wall, spurting out a mouthful of ghost blood. And then again. Shen Jian stepped through the smoke and walked out quietly. There was also a black stone nail in his hand. The next second, the black stone nail in his hand nailed the deceiver to the wall again, and at the same time he sneered, "The mud can't hold up the wall. You have become a ghost and you are still so unsatisfactory. No wonder your goddess doesn't give you a kick. It turns out that you are a weakling. If it were me, I would kick your goddess in front of you, and you could only watch anyway. Do it all." Shen Jian clapped his hands as if he had done something trivial. The double blow from the black stone nail and Shen Jian's words made the deceiver's eyes wide open and he roared crazily. "Ah! You deserve to die. You deserve to be damned. Group of ghosts. You are really evil. Even though it's like this, I still don't let people go. For a while. They can't even tell which one is the evil ghost. After all, Shen Jian's purity is too high." End of chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Something strange is coming? Fortunately, I am the king of hell of the 10th palace. Author, Shi Yubuletin Chigwa. Chapter 863. The liar's roar continued. He looked completely crazy, trying to break free from the black stone nails. Unfortunately, the idea is good, but the reality is cruel. Unless he can still erupt ghost-level supernatural fluctuations while being suppressed by the stone tower, it will be impossible to break free. And if you want to reach this level, not even the Duke of the North can do it. The entire Yilai Empire may only be able to break free from the shackles of the glorious ghosts and gods of the world-destroying level. They are not yet simple world-destroying level ghosts and gods, but infinitely close to the level of disaster-level ghosts and gods. Therefore, the deceiver's behavior seemed vicious, but in fact it was nothing more than incompetent rage. Even if Shen Jian was standing in front of him, there was nothing he could do. See this scene. The group of ghosts hanging on the wall once again showed expressions of pity. It's too awful. This was the last fig leaf torn off, and the execution was naked and public. Darkening is normal. But being blackened and being ruthlessly suppressed is the most frustrating thing. If it were them, they would even be angry to death. No wonder the gun ghost didn't take action and instead chose to withdraw from the battlefield. Ganking knew that bitch was very powerful. Even if the deceiver turned into a demon, he would still be no match. Think of this. The eyes of all the tortured ghosts showed a bit of horror. In the demonic state, the terror level of the deceiver ghost is the abyss level, which is infinitely close to the top ghost king. If you put it outside, it will be a real ghost and god. Even if the Duke of the North comes, under the supernatural suppression, he will at most be able to exert the strength of the top ghost king. Although there is a gap between the two, they will not be crushed. However, the reality is that the liar was pressed and rubbed from beginning to end. There was no room for resistance. This is an ability only possessed by ghosts and gods. Under the two levels of supernatural suppression, it still maintains the level of ghosts and gods. If you put it outside, wouldn't this hanging man be the world-destroying level ghosts and gods? On the same level as the glorious ghosts and gods of Elim Temple? Hiss. The ghosts all gasped. This is the arrival of a real king of hell. You're a liar, you won't complain if you lose. Just thinking about it? Shen Jian had already clapped his hands. He turned his attention to the other wall-hanging ghosts. Hey, didn't you say that if I let you go, you would give me the title of Earl? How about I let you go now? And you, too. You said you would protect me and let me walk sideways in the north. You also gave me a ghost limb. Where is it? Take it out and let me see. Shen Jian looked at the group of ghosts and said with a hint of ridicule. The ghosts' expressions changed. They all lowered their heads, wanting to cry but without tears. We are just talking about it and writing some empty promises, but we never thought that you, the old man, would really let us go. If they can't pay the price, their ending will probably not be much better than that of a liar. As for the position of Earl and the mutilated limbs of ghosts and gods, if they had such abilities, how could they be captured here by the people from the Duke's palace in the north? The reason for arresting them was not because there was no one behind them, so it would be easy to start. For a while, the stone room became extremely silent. No ghost dared to speak again. Not all of them can do it honestly. They were all afraid that Shen Jian would take their words seriously and force them to complete the deal. That would be real barbecue. See this. Shen Jian suddenly felt bored. He looked back with some regret. However, he is very interested in black stone nails. They can be used to nail ghosts accurately. Even ghosts and gods cannot break free so easily. Coupled with the supernatural suppression effect of the stone tower, world-destroying level ghosts and gods will have to experience being hanged. Taste on the wall. Nice one. He wants it? Thinking. Shen Jian skipped the group of ghosts and entered the inner room of the stone chamber. Seeing this, the gun ghosts and others also followed him. Until the door to the inner room was closed. The ghosts breathed a sigh of relief. All eyes fell on the liar, who was glaring angrily and gnashing his teeth. Sighed and comforted. Hey, if the goddess is kicked, she will be kicked. It's better than dying. Yeah, it's not dead. At least you can still see the goddess being kicked, and you can help push her butt. But if you die, you won't be able to see anything. That's right, it's a lie. Think about it, if your goddess can be admired by him, doesn't it mean that you have good taste? Hear this. The liar's eyes widened. The current suffering master has humbled himself to this level? What the hell, are you trying to comfort or add insult to injury? It's too silly. At the same time. Inner room. Shen Jian walked into it. A huge stone tablet was soon discovered. The stone tablet is erected in the center of the altar. As smooth as a mirror, time seems to be unable to leave any traces on it. Unfortunately, what was supposed to be a complete stone tablet was missing 2/3 of its volume, so that only half of it, which was 2 people tall, remained. On the altar in front of the stone tablet, a large number of ghosts fell into a deep sleep without any movement. The faces of the ghosts were full of ferociousness. Such a strange and eye-catching scene really made the 3 players feel chills. Because this is too much like some kind of sacrificial ceremony prepared by an evil organization. Shen Jian glanced at it a few times. There was a huge wave in the depths of his eyes. 3 life stones. This is indeed the 3 life stone. Although it was only 1/3, as long as the 3 life stones did not disappear with the former underworld, but were scattered in the horror world or the 6 Lufeng heavens, he was sure to collect them one by one and restore their true appearance. Complete the missing link in the underworld. No doubt. This is exciting news. It means that with his efforts, the underworld has become more complete. Nowadays, only the other 2/3 of the Sans Hung Stone Steel, Meng Po Tang, and one of the 6 paths of reincarnation, the Azura path and the God path, are missing. The underworld can truly reproduce the name of the underworld in the mythical period. Really come to earth. And he is closer to this goal. As if within reach. Think of this. Even Shen Jian's mood became uneasy. His eyes were filled with excitement. Think about it. Shen Jian walked towards the Sans Hung Stone. When passing through the group of sleeping ghosts, he couldn't hold back, and with a bit of inquiring mood, he slapped a ghost on the face with his big mouth. Snapped. With the crisp sound of slaps, the sleeping ghost suddenly opened his eyes were in a trance, and he seemed to be looking at Shen Jian with a bit of confusion. As if to say, "Why the hell are you slapping me?" Shen Jian said casually, "It's okay. I'll tell you that it's time to go to bed." You can continue to sleep, said. Another big fan slapped the opponent on the back of the head. Put him to sleep. No, you are sick. With this thought, the sleeping ghost closed his eyes again and lay peacefully on the ground. Gun Ghost. Player. You are a real bamboo shoot. You plucked all the bamboo shoots on the mountain. Shen Jian asked, can you forcefully wake up after being trapped in reincarnation? Gun Ghost explained, it's okay. Because I was a little slow in completing the task, I was brought here to experience a real death of reincarnation. I can feel that it is a real world, and I was tortured inside, and in a daze, it seemed like I had spent hundreds of years like this, but when I woke up, I was told that less than a quarter of an hour had passed. From now on, I never dare to experience this thing again. Shen Jian said nothing. Then he asked, how to use it? The Gun Ghost continued, stand in front of the stone monument and fully display your figure, some unknown scenes will appear. After the scenes, a specialized consciousness ghost will peel off your consciousness and send it into the stone monument. Enter the reincarnation of death specially selected by the Duke of the North. As far as I know, the supernatural effect of this stone tablet should only be to carry consciousness, allowing people to constantly experience some paradoxical things. The Duke transformed it and fused it with a large number of experimental samples to create a stone tablet that could withstand thousands of kinds of the consciousness of death was sent into the stone tablet, allowing it to evolve on its own, creating this evil supernatural thing. Hear the words. Shen Jian's expression remained unchanged. This statement did not exceed his guess. In his opinion, the most important function of the three life stone is to reflect a person's past life, present life, and next life, so that people can watch their three-life body as if they have entered reincarnation, and resolve all causes and effects. There is no ability to transform evil spirits at all. The reason for this situation is simply that the Duke of the North found some loophole and caused problems. If it is a complete three-life stone, Shen Jian naturally does not believe that a duke has the ability to change it, but if it is in a broken state, then everything is uncertain. Moreover, following the Gun Ghost's wishes, the Duke of the North didn't actually do much. He just forcibly fabricated a ghost's wronged soul that had experienced thousands of punishments and sent it into the three-life stone. In layman's terms, the Sansei stone is a projector. Under normal circumstances, what is projected is one's past, present, and next life. However, the Duke of the North changed the projected content to a large-scale 18-ban restricted content. Also press the loop button. Then, a supernatural object specially used to create evil ghosts was born. As long as this strand of wronged soul is taken out, the Sansheng stone will naturally return to normal. Thinking. Shen Jian came to the altar. Let your body appear completely on the stone tablet. The Gun Ghost looked over with curiosity. Because he had irradiated it before, and what appeared in the stone tablet was a ghost that was 50% similar to him, but everything the other person experienced was completely different from him. He could only tell that the ghost seemed to live in the north, but the landscape was completely different, it was very prosperous, and there were no so-called evil ghosts. To this, he had asked other people, and the answers he got were also unknown. We can only speculate that this is probably their other life. And the time node is extremely early. At least, before the Duke of the North showed up. Soon, Shen Jian's complete figure has emerged. However, strangely, nothing happened. Except for Shen Jian himself, no picture appears in the stele. It seems to be just an ordinary, somewhat smooth stone mirror. The Gun Ghost was stunned. This is wrong. Damn it! Why does something unexpected happen to you when it comes to you? Don't they all have one head, two eyes, one nose, and one mouth? What's so special about you? Brother, there was a picture before. I don't know why, but now it's broken. The Gun Ghost said anxiously. He was afraid that Shen Jian would mistake him for lying. Hear the words. Shen Jian was thoughtful. Come here. He waved and called the female player with the ID Jana. Jana stood nervously in front of the stone tablet. Soon, the stone tablet changes. Blurry images began to emerge. With just one glance, Jana felt as if she had been struck by lightning. Because what appears above is the real world. Yes. She was very sure that it was the real world and not the deep ghost realm. And she seemed to be no longer a princess of the principality, but an ordinary woman living on the land of the principality. At that time, it seemed that the principality had not yet been established, and there were no technological products. The background was at least during the Middle Ages. What is that? Jana had endless doubts in her heart. I just feel creepy. She didn't believe that a woman with a similar appearance lived before the medieval background and had nothing to do with her. Immediately, she called over 2 other white players. The stone tablet appears again. The background is still the medieval period, and the protagonist is also a person with a similar appearance. Subconsciously, the 3 players looked at Shen Jian. After all, this situation is too weird. Shen Jian glanced at them, narrowed his eyes and said, "This is your previous life." Shockingly, this broken 3-life stone tablet reflects the past life. And he has no previous life? Shen Jian thought of a possibility, the unity of all worlds. Something strange is coming? Fortunately, I am the king of hell of the 10th palace. Author, Shi Yubuletin Chigua. Chapter 864. Previous life? Is this their previous life? Hearing Shen Jian's explanation, shock appeared on the faces of Jana and the others. The Western world also has reincarnation, as it was said in the past and present. They naturally understand what this past life refers to. But this is too unbelievable, right? No matter how special the ghost's supernatural power is, no matter how it is created out of nothing, it is impossible for him to have the ability to reflect other people's past and present lives. Even the legendary Eastern gods and Western gods do not have such ability. It's just a supernatural thing. How is this possible? Among the 3, the female player with the ID Jana thought of something first. She is the most receptive to the methods of gods and goddesses among the 3, and she also has the deepest understanding. While the other 2 white players were still shocked that the stone tablet had such a supernatural power, she had already set her sights on finding it in myths and legends. Moment. She found it? In the myths and legends of the Dragon Kingdom that she had browsed, there was such a treasure that had the ability to reflect other people's past and present lives? That is the 3-life stone. Rumor has it that there is a strange stone on the bank of the Wangchuan River in the underworld, called the 3-life stone, which can reflect the past and present lives of the dead souls, put an end to their lifelong obsessions, and allow them to reincarnate with peace of mind. And wasn't the thing in front of her just a stone tablet? Although it is disabled, it still possesses incredible magical powers. Think of this. Jana was shocked. This sense of seeing a myth made her soul feel cleansed, and she felt an inexplicable throbbing. That is the awe and enthusiasm for myths. She swore that once she told what she had experienced in this copy, the entire West would be shaken. The myth was confirmed, and the wonders of the underworld from the mythical period were revealed to the world. This was news that was enough to make everyone crazy. Unfortunately, these 3 life stones do not belong to her. And the first person to recognize him was not her, but Shen Jian. For some reason, she had a strange feeling. Shen Jian seemed to have been sure from the beginning that the stone tablet here was the legendary Sansheng stone. Why does this man take it for granted that the stone mentioned by the gun ghost is a thing from the underworld? Shouldn't a normal person doubt that this is a supernatural thing with incredible effects? Besides, why can't this man's past life be reflected in front of the Sansheng stone? No matter how special the other party is, it is just a ghost and god, and the three-life stone is one of the most famous artifacts in the underworld in the mythical period. Let alone a ghost and god, even the legendary world-destroying ghosts and gods cannot escape the reflection of the three-life stone. In her opinion, only a supreme ruler like the Jade Emperor in the east or Zeus in the west would prevent the three life stones from reflecting the past life. Certainly, the supreme master of the underworld is also included in this list. But could it be said that Shen Jian is one of these three? This is outrageous. Don't say she doesn't believe it, no one will believe this guess. For a while, all kinds of confusion appeared in her mind. Let her thoughts race. The more I think about it, the more confused my mind becomes, and I just feel dizzy. The other side. Shen Jian stared at his figure reflected in the stone tablet. I don't know what I thought of in my heart. The eyes are deep. The unity of all worlds means that there is only one entity of him on any timeline. Whether reflecting the past or the future, he will no longer exist. Because he is the only one. He has gone to the past, and there will be no trace of him in the present and future. He went to the future, and he did not exist on the timeline of past and present. When did this change occur? Shen Jian is thinking about this problem. In the supernatural events in Nanlin province, he also used Cleopatra's past and future incarnations. At that time, he still existed at any time node in the past and future. How long has it been since? Full calculation, less than 2 months. During this period, the only thing he has done is to unlock the animal path and the human path, one of the 6 paths of reincarnation. He obtained the titles of City King, the Lord of the 7th Palace of the Underworld, and King Pingpan, the Lord of the 8th Palace of the Underworld, respectively, and truly assembled the 10 palaces of Yama. To a certain extent, the 10 kings of hell combined into one person represent the Lord of the Underworld, Emperor Fengdu. Is this the reason? Think about it. After Shen exercised, a golden hexagonal wheel appeared. Fixed in an area of the wheel. In the area, a graceful and charming figure came into view. Shen Jian said nothing. Activates Cleopatra's supernatural powers, past and future. Soon. A trace of surprise flashed in Shen Jian's eyes. Because he discovered that he could still summon the body of the past 3 days and the next 3 days. Only. Summoning is much more difficult than before. There seems to be a mysterious force interfering with his supernatural powers. Shen Jian was thoughtful. I soon understood the mystery. After all, the status of the King of Hell of the 10 Palaces was transferred to him, he had already begun the process of unifying all worlds, but it was not yet complete, and he still lacked the last status of the great Emperor of Fengdu. In this case, unless the Sansei stone is a complete piece, it will be difficult to reflect his past and present lives. In addition, he is already the Lord of the Underworld and the Underworld on the surface. A broken 3-life stone naturally cannot manifest everything about him. Got this? Shen Jian withdrew his gaze. Take away the Sans Hung stone steel directly. Then he nodded with satisfaction. Gun ghost. The corners of his mouth twitched slightly. You're so humming rude. Robbery in public and took it for themselves. However, after thinking about it, the gun ghost realized that compared to the evil things Shen Jian had done along the way, this robbery was not that evil, and could even be considered a small kindness. After all, if he really followed the deceitful ghost's approach, Li Gui, who was responsible for guarding the Sans Hung stone, would have knelt down, held up the stone tablet with both hands, and begged Shen Jian to take it away. This man can really do this kind of thing. No joke. Then, the gun ghost immediately said, "Brother, as long as you are happy, if there is anything you like, just take it away. I don't feel bad if I sell my farmland. Anyway, this meow is not his, and the one who feels distressed is the Duke of the North, not him." Now that he is Shen Jian's private property, what right does he have to stop him? Isn't this the flood that washed away the Dragon King temple? Just take it and that's it? Gaga dazzle. Soon, Shen Jian came up with a disc move. Not only the 3 life stones, he also took away the sleeping ghosts. He also took away the group of ghosts hanging on the wall in the outer room, as well as the black stone nails, which were also his. Certainly. The most important stone tower itself is also within the scope of his disc's operations. He suspected that this supernatural material with obsidian patterns was influenced by the Sans Hung stone and was a local supernatural thing that was in line with the deep ghost realm. Very useful. However, at this time, outside the stone tower, suddenly a cold voice sounded. Trespassing into the stone tower and snatching my personal belongings, you have a recipe for death. This moment. As this eerie voice echoed, the gun ghosts and the 3 players present froze up, feeling a terrifying cold aura enveloping the entire place. Heartwarming. Chills all over. The temperature dropped to freezing point in an instant. Immediately afterwards, everyone saw that in the distance of Ghost Street, bursts of ice spread, freezing the entire street layer by layer, and an icicle like a vine quickly struck. On the icicle, a ghost figure stood on it. It was a burly man with a majestic appearance, with a grimace on the black lines, and a sickly and cruel look in his eyes, staring at the group of people in the stone tower with the gaze of hunting prey. An evil aura mixed with resentment erupted from him. What also erupted at the same time was the supernatural threat that was infinitely close to the world-destroying ghosts and gods. The person who came was none other than the Duke of the North. There is no one of the most terrifying ghosts in the far north. Seeing the real appearance of the Duke of the North, Gun Ghost's eyes immediately showed extreme fear, and he felt as if his blood had been frozen, making him tremble all over. This is his most intuitive fear of the Duke of the North. This kind of fear was even engraved into the instinct of his body. Even if he resented and hated the other party in his heart, after actually seeing the Grand Duke, his body's instinct was still faster than his heart and he reacted first. He was doubting and wondering why the Duke suddenly appeared here, and seemed to know what they were doing. At once, the gun ghost thought of something. Stone tablet. On that stone tablet, there was probably a supernatural medium set up by the Duke of the North. Once the medium leaves the altar, it will be notified automatically. This can explain why the Grand Duke of the North suddenly came here. Just thinking about it. The Grand Duke of the North also set his sights on the gun ghost at the right time. Nothing else. The gun ghost carries the emblem of the Duke's palace on his chest. He only had a vague impression of the gun ghost. He should be just an inconspicuous top ghost king in the Duke's palace. However, the other party betrayed the Duke's palace, led the enemy into the Ghost Street, and took away his most core secrets. If he hadn't set up a supernatural medium under the stone tablet just to be on the safe side, he might not have noticed until the enemy disappeared. At this point, he admitted that he underestimated Gungi. He didn't expect that a mere top ghost king would dare to betray him. It caught him off guard. "You're fine." The Grand Duke of the North laughed ferociously, then turned his eyes away and fell on Shen Jian. "You are quite courageous. You dared to instigate my people and steal my things. You are the first to be so bold since I took over the North. To be honest, I kind of admire you." Shen Jian raised his eyebrows. He smiled and said, "You're welcome." "Me too." "Hear this." There was a trace of mockery and sarcasm on the face of the Grand Duke of the North. Standing on the icicles, looking down at Shen Jian. Because he heard the underlying meaning of Shen Jian, the other party said that he was the same as him. The meaning of this sentence was undoubtedly that he also admired himself as the Lord of the North. When he said he admired the other person, it was a kind of teasing. What he admired was the character of the other person who was not afraid of death. But appreciation is appreciation. If you should kill, you still have to kill. In this case, Shen Jian also said that he admired him. Wasn't this just trying to get close? Are you showing weakness? Because of this, his expression became playful. However, before he could finish his thoughts, the next second, Shen Jian said humbly, "To be honest, I admire myself quite a lot. You have good taste. Grand Duke of the North. No. Why are you so shameless?" End of chapter. Something strange is coming? Fortunately, I am the king of hell of the 10th palace. Author, Shi Yubuletin Chigua. Chapter 865. At this moment, the Grand Duke of the North was completely speechless. When I say that I admire you, a normal person's response would be to get close to him, give in, and beg for his life. Those who are not normal will refute him and become tense. But he never expected that between normal and abnormal, there would be such a shameless answer. I admire you, and you also say that you admire yourself. Mad, why are you so thick-skinned? Can you be more humble? Being able to instigate his men to rebel and get in and out of the stone tower unharmed, Shen Jian's strength is at least as strong as ghosts and gods. They are all ghosts and gods, so be damn decent. If you act like this, you have completely lost all your character as a ghost. For a while, the master of the far north stood silently on the icicles, looking at Shen Jian with strange eyes, unable to hold himself tight. It took a while. He just adjusted his thoughts and said coldly, "Sharp teeth, but this still can't save you. Be sensible, hand over the stone tablet, and commit suicide. Otherwise, you should know that you will face it later. It has to be something." The words fell. A terrible supernatural threat enveloped the entire place. The dark wind howled, and the cold air spread. The ice that froze the entire ghost street seemed to come alive at this moment, approaching the stone tower at an extremely fast speed. Shen Jian narrowed his eyes. Apparently, the Duke of the North's supernatural powers are related to ice. He has seen similar supernatural beings several times. In the second Luo Fengtian dungeon, which is the Entertainment City dungeon, the ghost professor, the aunt of the protagonist of the dungeon, has such a supernatural power. As a ghost king, he once fought against an abyss-level ghost king without losing. He even had the upper hand and was about to make a comeback. One can imagine. How high is the upper limit of this kind of supernatural power? The Grand Duke of the North is a ghost and god. In terms of supernatural development, he is infinitely better than Professor Ghost. At the level of ghosts and gods, he is definitely one of the best. And this is indeed the case. According to Shen Jian's perception, the Duke of the North's yin qi value has approached 260,000, which is less than 50,000 short of the threshold of world-destroying ghosts and gods. Coupled with his own supernatural blessing, although I dare not say that he can compete with the real world-destroying ghosts and gods, he can still fight for a few short periods. Looking at the entire Ili Empire, it is already at the top of the pyramid. Compared to the southern and eastern dukes, they were more than a step ahead. Thinking. There are new changes on the field. On the frozen streets, many guards wearing the Duke's Palace badge on their chests appeared one by one. They are all the dark forces guarding the ghost street. Some guard the entrance, while others patrol the entire block in pairs. And after the Duke of the North erupted with this terrifying and unusual supernatural threat, freezing the entire street, the ghosts were shocked and knew that something was going on, and it was something serious. Otherwise, how could the Grand Duke suddenly come here? This time, all the top ghost kings panicked. He rolled and crawled to the source of the supernatural outbreak. I was already cursing my mother inside. What the hell? Who on earth attracted the Duke? They guard the ghost street, but no one knows when something goes wrong. Doesn't this mean that their guarding is not good? Don't let us know who did it, or that person will be dead. The ghosts thought fiercely. Subsequently, then he noticed the two sides confronting each other on the field. One party is naturally the Duke, while the other party looks very strange, and there are three weak little chickens among them. Gun Ghost. A patrolling guard recognized one of them. As soon as these words came out, there was an uproar. Grass. It's so unbelievable that we are still guarding and stealing from our own people. Have you considered our feelings when you did such a thing? After death, the poor Taoist dragged his Taoist friends to die together. You know how to harm others without benefiting yourself. Others inflict 800 wounds on the enemy, and 1,000 harm on their own. You will lose 10,000 to yourself and injure the enemy 3,000. And are you so sick that you actually stole from the Duke and died? All the guards gnashed their teeth, staring at the gun ghost as if he were choosing people to devour. Ask the other party to give you an explanation. Gun Ghost. He wanted to cry but had no tears. Looking at the large number of eyes locked on him, he almost cried. He never imagined that things would turn out like this. For the current plan, he could only hug Shen Jian's thigh tightly, otherwise what awaited him would be to be trapped in reincarnation, become an evil ghost, and eventually be wiped out and fall into a state of death. To him, this was completely unacceptable. And, in his opinion, Shen Jian has no chance of winning. If his guess is true, then the man in front of him is undoubtedly a legendary world-destroying ghost and god. The level of terror is at least the same as that of the glorious ghost and god. And the Grand Duke of the North, it's just infinitely close to the world-destroying level. The gap between the two is not even a tiny bit. Certainly. The premise of all this is that Shen Jian was indeed suppressed by the supernatural power of the stone tower before. Otherwise it's all just talk. In addition to the glorious ghost and god, there is another unknown world-destroying ghost and god in the territory of the Yilai Empire. Is this really possible? For this answer, the gun ghost is not 100% sure. But he has no other choice. Think about it this way. The gun ghost immediately raised his head, not letting the other party see his panic, but looked like I'm cold and cold, I don't bother to talk to you anymore. The ghosts were so angry that they grinded their teeth. As for the three white players, they were frightened. They thought that the scene of the 6 princesses besieging Shen Jian in the camp was already a rare and grand scene. But now, what big scene haven't I seen? Cross out. I have never seen this big scene before. Frozen for thousands of miles, a street was frozen, and the Duke of the North stood on an icicle. On the street, more than 40 ghosts gathered from all directions. The top ghost king among all members. They all stared at people to devour them, penetrating them like hungry wolves. And on the periphery, there were also a large number of Duke Palace guards who were attracted by the movement and came to support. It can be said, they were now surrounded by the Duke's palace. There is no way to heaven and no way to earth. They cried too. Gan. This movement is indeed loud enough, and it will probably spread throughout Yongkang City in less than tomorrow. But this is not the movement they want. If they had known it would be like this, they would rather hide the failure of the mission. No, they would rather stay in the 6th princess camp and be interrogated and forced than being scared to death by Shen Jian. Even a big heart can't hold on to this scene. Stubborn. Seeing that Shen Jian was silent, the Northern Grand Duke also lost the idea of communicating. There was bloodlust in his eyes. The black lines on the ghost's face became deeper and deeper, and a terrifying supernatural power erupted. We are both ghosts and gods. Today, I will let you see the gap between heaven and earth. No matter you are a member of the 4 holy families or sent by the royal family, you cannot leave with secrets today. The northern border is mine. No one can take it away. The Grand Duke of the North smiled ferociously. The frozen ghost street has completely come to life. Layers of ice are condensing to form an ice crystal ghost hand with a diameter of more than 50 meters. Within the ice crystal, black lines are spreading, which is very strange. The next moment, the ice crystal ghost hand came down with negative pressure. Block out the night sky. The momentum was overwhelming. 1/3 of the people in Yongkang City could see this amazing scene with their naked eyes. No doubt. The Grand Duke of the North planned to directly use ghosts and spirits to crush Shen Jian and others to death without giving them any chance to breathe. And such a spectacular scene really shocked everyone at the scene. Both the gun ghost and the players, as well as the Duke's palace guards, all had their eyes widened. Damn it! So ruthless when you take action? It seems that these intruders really pissed off the Duke. This power made even their legs weak after looking at it. In the entire Kingdom continent, there are no more than one hand capable of resisting this supernatural attack. However, at this time, drop. There was a button sound. Everyone was stunned. They all looked around. I saw Shen Jian holding a voice recorder, recording what he just said, playing it again, and after making sure the sound was clear enough, he nodded with satisfaction. Grand Duke of the North. Group of ghosts. Their eyelids twitched wildly. If this passage is broadcast, it will offend the four holy families and the royal family at once, and it will lead to disaster. But did you miss the point? Shouldn't your focus now be on how to survive? What's the use of your recording? Is it evidence that I can't take it out with me? The Grand Duke of the North paused. He felt the veins popping out on the ghost's face. He had never wanted to kill someone so much at that moment. Shen Jian was the first. Damn it, you don't take him seriously. Immediately, he was full of resentment. The diameter of the ice crystal ghost hand expanded by another 10 centimeters. It reached a scale of nearly 70 meters. Looking from the bottom up, it blocks out the sky and the sun, and penetrates people to the extreme. See this? Shen Jian just glanced at it. Calm and calm. With the evidence, we can directly kill the Duke of the North without even making excuses. Otherwise, he would have to argue and waste his time. Now, it's time to end this. Certainly. He didn't forget about the hidden mission either. Hidden missions have 3 small goals. 1. Destroy the Ghost Street. 2. Drive away the Duke of the North. 3. Stabilize the situation in the northern border. He decided to finish the 3 together. Add the concept of Gundam to this world. Think of this. Shen Jian looked up. Looking at the ice crystal ghost hand covering it, he grinned. You are right, there is indeed an unbridgeable gap between us. The words fell. Shen Jian's eyes bloomed with a faint light. From a mysterious dark pupil, it turned into a deep and dark pupil. The next second, Shen Jian raised his hand. At once, the earth is shaking. The ground beneath my feet, which was originally frozen by the ice, seemed to have come to life. With a clicking sound, a burly arm on the ground rose into the sky. Just by visual inspection, this arm was hundreds of meters long, supporting the ground and slowly getting up. The next second, a scene that horrified everyone appeared. A mountain stone giant that was more than 1,000 feet tall climbed up from the ghost street and slowly stood up, overlooking everything as if it were the incarnation of the mountain. The 70-meter ice crystal ghost hand that pressed down was like a toy in front of this 1,000-foot giant. Everyone was confused. He stood there stunned. However, it's not over yet. Follow Shen Jian's finger. The 9 bright and solid miniature suns merged into the body of the 1,000-foot giant and turned into bright golden armor, carrying huge golden wings. The brilliance shines throughout Yongkang City. This dark city in the far north is rendered into a golden kingdom. It's like daylight. Le Fatianchu. Shen Jian opened his mouth again. The voices of ghosts and gods echoed. The clouds surged, and the 9 heavens divine thunder struck down. In the hands of this golden 1,000-foot giant, 2 lightning guns formed by the gathering of thunder were condensed. The majesty of heaven shines brightly. Now, look at the gap between us. End of chapter. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Something strange is coming? Fortunately, I am the king of hell of the 10th palace. Author, Shi Buletin Chigwa. Chapter 866. Now, look at the gap between us. The voices of ghosts and gods rang through the sky. Shen Jian raised his eyes, and his deep dark eyes were blooming with a halo. Then, he gently raised his feet, and the golden armor giant with huge golden wings on his back, holding the thunder spear, bent down his majestic body, greeting its owner respectfully. Let it step on your sacred torso. It seems that in its eyes, being stepped on is the highest honor. This is also the moment. Everyone in the audience was dumbfounded, stunned in place. His eyes looked dull. Damn it! Hi, Gundam. 3 white players went absolutely crazy. Looking at the towering giant with a divine body, like a god descending, a huge wave has stirred up in my heart, just like dreaming on a horse. This is outrageous. Although Shen Jian is a ghost and god, the Duke of the North is also a ghost and god, and the level of terror is even higher. Even the opponent's full burst can only condense an ice crystal ghost hand of nearly 70 meters. Damn it, you are thousands of feet away. Giant. He even put on a set of angel armor for the mountain stone giant and used the divine thunder from the 9 heavens as a weapon. Luxury. It's so extravagant. I don't dare to cheat like this when playing Toy Gundam, but you are lucky enough to play the humanoid Gundam in the game copy, activate skins, and recharge weapons. The thriller game is played in your home, right? No money to recharge? Why is it so gorgeous? This is no longer a gap that can be described. There is absolutely no comparison between the two. As the Grand Duke of the North said, there is indeed an insurmountable gap between them. Only. On both sides of the divide, the positions are reversed. The other side. The Duke's Palace. Both the top group of ghost kings who had already arrived and the Duke's Palace guards who were arriving were all shocked by this unparalleled scene. Horror again and again. Emotions such as horror, fear, etc. were visible to the naked eye on the ghost's face. Because they knew that this was definitely not the supreme power that the Duke could display. Otherwise, if nothing else, just let this 1,000-foot-high angel giant descend on the royal city. The 4 holy families and the royal family of the Eli Empire are all just chickens and dogs, and they are not worth mentioning at all. And this also means that the Duke has encountered an unprecedentedly powerful enemy. Under such unparalleled power, whether Yongkong City can be saved is a question. In this situation, how could the guards who were attached to the Duke's mansion not panic? I don't know if the Duke has been kicked in the head by a donkey, and he is not so far-sighted as to provoke such an enemy. So hummed. As for the Duke of the North, the ferocious smile on his face also disappeared. Instead, there was a hint of deep panic. He originally thought that in this 3-acre land in the north, he was an invincible existence, and no ghost could compete with him, but who was this man? Whose general is this? So outrageous. I destroy the 70-meter ice crystal ghost hand, and you use the 100-meter giant hand. I am still mentally prepared to accept it, and I may not have a chance to fight back. But if you hit the target in one humming step, your starting hand is thousands of feet high. It's not just a mere arm, but a complete giant. What a joke. You have the ability to be unruly, arrogant, and even arrogant. As long as you can do the above 3 points, I will still attack you from the side and will not take action randomly. But you are a bitch, you have no yin chi in your body, you are low-key, and you are also choking. Are you forcing others to take action? How is it different from fishing law enforcement? You are so humming mean to the point where you pretend to be a pig and eat the tiger. Just fish hard. It's too silly. At this time, 100,000 grass and mud horses rose in the heart of the Grand Duke of the North. I couldn't help but scold all the 18 generations of Shen Jian's ancestors in my heart. But on the surface, he restrained his original ferocious smile and showed a faint smile. Although it was very forced and looked uglier than crying, it could still be seen that the master of the far north was indeed smiling. This, sir, there is a misunderstanding, a misunderstanding. The Duke of the North withdrew his ice crystal ghost hand and his tone became weaker by an unknown amount. Shen Jian raised his eyebrows. I still like your unruly expression just now, please recover. Grand Duke of the North. The corners of his mouth twitched wildly. I'm just a little more perverted and a little more hands-on. I'm not demented or stupid. He shook his head wildly. Expresses. In his opinion, Shen Jian's level of terror is higher than that of the glorious ghosts and gods. According to his understanding, the glorious ghosts and gods are the oldest source of supernatural beliefs in the horror world and have already reached the end of the world-destroying ghosts and gods. And there are definitely higher levels above the world-destroying level ghosts and gods. At this point, after he got the Sanshung stone, it was determined. Because of this, he suspected that Shen Jian was the existence above the world-destroying ghosts and gods. Think of this. He was also extremely bitter. In the Eli Empire, where world-destroying ghosts and gods are legendary, there is actually an existence above the world-destroying ghosts and gods. How could such an outrageous person open the door to outrageous people? It's so outrageous. If he hadn't confirmed with his own eyes that this 1,000-foot-high angel giant was not an illusion from the ghost realm, he would have doubted whether he had fallen asleep. Such a being actually exploded. As for the other party's purpose, he suspected that it was the broken stone tablet he had salvaged. This steel is amazing. Even if he uses all his yin qi, he can't break it even a little bit. The picture of the past life presented above is even more unbelievable. And more importantly, just the aura emanating from this stone tablet can produce obsidian supernatural materials that can suppress ghosts and gods, which is extremely extraordinary. It can't be created by world-destroying ghosts and gods at all. This is also the reason why he speculates that there are even more terrifying ghosts above the world-destroying ghosts and gods. It is normal for Shen Jian to regard such a magical thing. Sir, I don't want that stone tablet anymore. I'll give it to you. Besides, I also have clues about the broken parts of the stone tablet. Give me some time and I can help you find it. The Grand Duke of the North asked for mercy. Look sincere. There is no falsehood at all. Unfortunately, Shen Jian didn't believe it. He possesses the soul of ghosts and gods, and no one can match him in terms of soul creation. Although he couldn't intuitively understand whether others were lying like the eldest princess, but by carefully distinguishing the fluctuations of the soul, it could still be seen that the Duke of the North's words were very watery. After all, if there is a second 3-life stone fragment under the high seas, it is impossible for the Duke of the North to leave it alone. Not seeing it means not having it. Immediately, there was a bit of sarcasm on Shen Jian's face. He glanced at the more and more people gathered around. Think about it. Reach out a little. 2 golden spheres condensed. Caught in the hands of a 1,000-foot giant. There was a stir. At last, 2 large hands that were over 100 meters tall stood with their fingers clasped together, above the head of the Grand Duke of the North. The other party almost jumped in fright. This is no joke. If it really hits him, he will be half dead, if not dead. Don't worry, I'm a good person. Shen Jian grinned and said with a smile, because you are so sincere, I can give you a chance. Now, choose, and see if you can choose miracle. Said. The 1,000-foot giant's hand lowered again. From the tightly closed fingers, no trace could be seen at all. The Grand Duke of the North was stunned. Is this, asking him to choose a way out? Guess which hand has the golden ball? He had never seen this kind of magic, but he had heard of it. I heard that the magician will hide all the balls during the flipping process so that others can't guess. But the Duke of the North thought for a while and felt that Shen Jian would not do such a shameless thing. Otherwise, the other party can kill him directly. In other words, this is testing his luck. As long as you guess which hand has the golden ball, you can survive. Think of this. The Grand Duke of the North's heart was pounding. When it comes to luck, he is confident. Otherwise, he would not have found the broken stone tablet sunk to the bottom of the sea in the vast open sea. Then he pointed decisively at the right hand of the 1,000-foot giant. The next second, the giant opened his right hand, and sure enough, there was a golden ball lying on his palm. See this. The Duke of the North was overjoyed. This kind of excitement about surviving the disaster could not help but reveal a hint of excitement on his face. When he was about to speak, he suddenly saw Shen Jian reaching out and making a stroke. The golden ball was split into two. The golden writing inside was revealed. Reward: a pair of thunder spears. Grand Duke of the North. He was confused. He looked at Shen Jian blankly, his eyes full of disbelief. Damn it! I bet this is not a game of guessing the ball, but a game of choosing the writing inside the ball? Grass. You step on the horse to make it clear. What's the difference between doing this and operating behind the scenes? Besides, doesn't this pair of thunder spears refer to the two lightning spears held by the 1,000-foot-long angel giant at that time? Is this a humming reward? Is it the reward I was thinking of, or is it superficial? A second ago, the Grand Duke of the North was still wondering how to distribute this reward. The next second, he knew. It was the kind of reward he imagined. After Shen Jian glanced at the golden writing in the ball, a strange smile appeared on his face, and he smiled arrogantly. You are so lucky. This thunder spear is the most cost-effective reward among the two. I will give it to you right away. Send it to you, pick it up. The words fell. In the hands of the 1,000-foot-high angel giant, two spear guns flashing with thunder and lightning were held in his hands and thrown towards the Duke of the North. One throw is two. The thunder tore through the sky, crashing down like a battle in the sky. That is totally divine punishment. With a momentum that could not be denied, the criminals were punished with thunder. Show vast power. Boom. Mushroom clouds rose. The entire Ghost Street was completely annihilated and turned into a scorched earth hell. The Grand Duke of the North, who was at the center of the explosion, only had time to hold up an ice crystal in front of him before he was pierced by the thunder spear. Before death, the Duke of the North was puzzled as to why this hanging man could do such a shameless thing despite being a being above the world, destroying ghosts and gods. His heart was born black. The kind where pus will come out when you cut it open. End of chapter. Something strange is coming? Fortunately, I am the king of hell of the 10th palace. Author, Shi Yubuletin Chigua. Chapter 867. This moment, the whole place was completely silent. Seeing the Ghost Street turned into a scorched earth hell, the ghosts turned pale with horror. He opened his mouth, but no sound came out. It was as if fate's throat was being strangled by an invisible hand, which made his heart tremble. With one blow, the entire neighborhood was destroyed. What a supreme power this is! It is simply divine punishment. In their eyes, the Duke, who was regarded as the most terrifying ghost in the north, was nailed to the ground without even causing any trouble. The devastating blow caused by the two thunder guns completely made this extremely northern man, the owner of the land, lost all supernatural reactions and turned into a mutilated corpse. The Duke of the North, the Lord of the North, ended up like this. I am afraid that even the Grand Duke of the North himself did not expect that his end would be so tragic. Damn, so damn sloppy. Certainly. All this is also related to the shamelessness of the intruder. It clearly gave people the impression that they were playing a ball-guessing game, but they didn't play according to the routine. The ball-guessing game turned into a death-choosing game. They suspected that the ball on the left hand of this 1,000-foot giant had the same words. Other similar ways to die, rather than the save-death option. In other words, the moment the Grand Duke of the North made his choice, he was destined to die here. And they believe that man is really capable of doing this kind of thing. Otherwise, it would be better to just leave it. Why bother and play trivial games? Think of this. The ghosts couldn't help but secretly sigh. It's really nothing. How could there be such a bad guy in this world who likes to play tricks on ghosts? Just thinking about it? The ghosts suddenly noticed that Shen Jian's eyes suddenly fell on them. This time, all the top ghost kings froze and lowered their heads, not daring to look at the pair of breathtaking dark pupils. Those are the eyes of the gods. There is a supreme edge, and any ghost who dares to look at it will fall into an endless abyss. That is the majesty of a god who cannot be looked directly at. At this time, the corners of Shen Jian's lips curled up, as if he had just done something trivial, and he said enthusiastically, "Does anyone else want to play? I have a lot of these props here, please choose one." No one answered. Shen Jian continued to promote, impassioned, "Don't be cowardly. You will be a hero in life, and you will be a hero in death. Everyone present is not a hero. How can you take life and death so seriously? What if, you choose to live?" Group of ghosts. Their eyelids twitched fiercely. His head bowed even lower, almost buried in his chest. Damn it! These inspiring words, coming from an enemy of yours, don't sound right. You're giving us a blood injection right here. To put it bluntly, you are just satisfying your own selfish desires. You want to watch our expressions change from hope to despair. It is so perverted. Although the Duke of the North was cruel and used a large number of evil ghosts to create an extremely evil spirit, he was also very perverted, but at least, the premise of the other party doing all this was for his career. As for the man standing on top of the 1,000-foot giant, he did all this without any purpose. He just wanted to see them struggling. His level of perversion was even greater than that of the Grand Duke of the North. What's more, you said that in case, what about the remaining 10,000 points and 9,999 points? They have reason to suspect that in this just-in-case probability, it really takes the last 10,000 people to win the so-called chance of life. And how many are they? There were less than 50 people in total. Under these odds, who dares to choose? It's completely a matter of choosing the rhythm of one death. At this time, a top ghost king couldn't bear the pressure, his legs and feet softened, and he knelt down. How can a man kneel down when there is gold under his knees? Cowardly. A man born between heaven and earth, how can he live in depression for a long time? How can you be worthy of the Duke? The sharp gazes of the ghosts were about to pierce through the first ghost who knelt down. However, immediately afterwards, a chain reaction occurred. Another top ghost king was sluggish for less than a second and also knelt down. Don't get me wrong, I'm tall and I'm hypoxic. I just want to kneel down and breathe some fresh air. If you didn't tell me earlier, I would stand next to you and block the fresh air. In this way, I would kneel down and let you breathe more. When one side is in trouble, all sides support. Who are you looking down on? It's as if no one will sacrifice for our brothers, so we will kneel down too. A group of ghosts swarmed over each other. None of them gave in to each other. A look of loyalty that says, they are all my brothers, I will not sacrifice anyone else. Each one kneels faster than the other. I'm afraid that if I'm too slow, I won't be able to express my pride and others will look down on me. That's enough. What are you doing? You are so timid. At this time, the chief instructor seemed to be unable to stand it any longer, and stood up sadly. He is different from other top Ghost King level instructors, he is a ghost god. Responsible for all the instructors in the Duke's mansion. In the principality, his status is equivalent to that of a generalissimo. Once the Grand Duke of the North dies, his words will represent the Duke's palace. The Duke has just died, and you rebelled like this. Is this worthy of the Duke? Where is your sincerity? Where is your loyalty? Where are your principles? Upon hearing this, the top Ghost Kings who were kneeling paused on the spot, with a look of shame on their faces. Yes. As instructors of the Duke's palace, they surrendered to the enemy so spinelessly just after the Duke's death and his body was still cold. This approach not only brought shame on the Duke's palace, but also on their faces. Everyone will know that they are a bunch of cowards. However, just when the ghosts thought this, the chief instructor had already stood up, first scolded the cowards behind him, and then, his legs went weak and he knelt down. 100,000 whys came to the minds of the ghosts. But before they could ask questions, the chief instructor had already started a new operation. He knelt on the ground on all fours and kowtowed 3 times in Shen Jian's direction. That was really loud. The kind that hits the ground. After 3 strikes, a shallow pit was dug into the ground. Facing the more confused looks from everyone, the chief instructor said righteously, "What's the point of sincerity in just kneeling down? Is your loyalty so cheap? If you don't knock a few times, how can you prove that you are different from the Duke's palace? You are so timid, shrunken and without any sincerity." Hear this. The ghosts were stunned for a moment. Then he reacted. His face was crooked with anger. Damn it! When you talk about sincerity, loyalty, and principles, do you mean that we only kneel down, which is insincere and too perfunctory? The so-called timidity does not make us bravely stand up and fight, but makes us completely abandon our face? Gan. I thought you were a loyal martyr, which made us feel guilty. It turns out that you are even more unprincipled when riding a horse. Face is lower than we think. If you do this, aren't you disrupting the market? What good does it do you if they all roll up? The ghosts were shocked and couldn't stand the behavior of the chief instructor. The ones with quick minds and quick hands have already begun to kowtow. Each one is louder than the other. It seems that only in this way can we express our sincerity better than the former. Until the last top Ghost King looked at the 7 or 8 centimeter deep pit in the ground in front of him, his lips trembled, and he knocked down hard with an expression of grief and anger. Bang bang bang. Watch this scene. Shen Jian's facial muscles also twitched slightly. There was a flash of disappointment in his eyes. Think about it. He has completed the first and second hidden tasks. The remaining 3 are to stabilize the order in the northern border, and the only city in the northern border is Yongkang City where he is now. If the problem of Yongkang City is dealt with well, the northern border will basically be solved. These top Ghost Kings in the Duke's palace have the deepest knowledge of Ghost Street and the evil deeds of the Duke of the North. They are the most suitable candidates to expose the actions of the Duke of the North. Certainly. There are definitely doubts. After all, no matter what, Yongkang City can maintain its current situation, the Duke of the North is indeed indispensable. For a small number of ghost residents who already live here, the Duke is heaven. This group of people has lived in Yongkang City for generations and has a solid foundation. If they openly resist, the northern border will really be stable in a short period of time. He also needed a more overwhelming identity. Think of this. Shen Jian waved his hand and did not look at the group of Duke's Mansion instructors who were digging deep holes into the ground. He directly issued an order, "I will give you 1 hour to announce what the Duke of the North has done." I want everyone in Yongkong City to know what happened in Ghost Street. If you can't do that, just go and apologize. His words were full of majesty that could not be rejected. This made the chief instructor, who was about to exclaim that he couldn't do it, obediently shut his mouth. He ran out to execute the order as soon as possible. Not long after, the entire Yongkong City got the news. Everyone froze in place, digesting this explosive information. The Master of the Far North, the Grand Duke of the North, turned out to be the real culprit who caused the evil ghosts in the north to wreak havoc, leading to the destruction of countless innocent ghost people's homes. The so-called Ghost Street is not only a sealed place where the Duke suppresses the source of evil ghosts, but is actually a place where evil ghosts are created. More importantly, the Duke of the North who did all this is dead. The huge movement caused just now, the thousands-foot-high angel giant towering into the clouds, was the hero who killed the Duke of the North. Everything seemed too dreamy. They didn't know what to say for a moment. There was a sense of powerlessness that they had just learned who the culprit was, and the other person died, leaving them angry, resentful, but with nowhere to vent. Everyone, don't be deceived. How about the Duke? Everyone should be aware of it. If it weren't for the Duke, would we be able to live here so peacefully? In front of the Duke's palace, in the crowd of ghosts gathered around, an excited voice sounded. As soon as these words came out, it has resonated with many vested interests. They all spoke out. That's right, now that the Duke is dead, there is no proof, it's just whatever the other party says. To be so insulting to the Duke and the heroes who protect the North, what is the Duke's palace doing now? Why doesn't anyone speak out? Is it already under control? Could it be that these words were spread by someone behind the scenes? The words became louder and louder. Many neutrals also changed their minds. I feel like something is fishy. There was an endless stream of voices of condemnation. Among this group of people, I don't know when the sixth princess, who was originally thousands of miles away, also arrived here quietly. She has received information from the spy. Learn in detail what happened in Ghost Street an hour ago. A 1,000-foot-high angel giant, holding a thunder spear in his hand, pierced the Duke of the North with 2 spears, and destroyed the entire evil neighborhood. Such deeds are like a fantasy story, which is unbelievable. Because she knew clearly that the person who did all this was her 4th brother. Her good brother. But now, she was even more curious about how her good brother, who had been reborn as a different person, would face the pressure of public opinion in the city.